Advanced Micro Devices AMD Beginner's Guide. Imagine the brain inside every cloud data center, every gaming PC, every PlayStation 5, and every cutting-edge AI server. There's a good chance Advanced Micro Devices, or AMD, designed that brain. For decades, AMD was the underdog chasing Intel, but it has quietly transformed into one of the two companies on Earth that makes the chips powering the AI revolution. Quick reminder before we dive in, this is educational only, not investment advice. We are here to understand the business, not to make any buy or sell calls. So, what does AMD actually do? AMD designs computer chips, the silicon brains that do the math inside electronics. It does not own the factories that physically make the chips. That model is called fabless, meaning AMD designs and Taiwan's TSMC manufactures. AMD ran about $35 billion of revenue across 4 product groups in 2025. The biggest is data center at roughly 48% of sales, around $16.6 billion. That's EPYC server CPUs, which are the main brains inside cloud computers, plus Instinct GPUs, the specialized chips that train and run AI models. GPU stands for Graphics Processing Unit, originally built for video games, but now the workhorse of AI. 8 of the top 10 AI companies are using AMD's Instinct chips, which is a huge validation. The data center business grew 32% year-over-year. The next group is client, about 31% of revenue at roughly $10.6 billion. That's the Ryzen line, the CPUs inside Dell, HP, and Lenovo laptops and desktops. CPU stands for Central Processing Unit, the general-purpose brain of a computer. Client revenue jumped 51% in 2025, with AMD setting a record for desktop market share 4 quarters in a row. Then there's gaming at about 11%, or $3.9 billion. This is the custom chip inside the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, plus Radeon graphics cards for PC gamers. Finally, embedded at about 10%, or $3.5 billion. Those are specialized chips that AMD got when it bought a company called Xilinx in 2022. They go into airplanes, factory robots, cars, and telecom gear, where they sit for years. Embedded revenue dipped 3% as customers worked through old inventory, but AMD has booked a record $17 billion of future design wins, meaning customers have already committed to using these chips in products coming over the next several years. So, who does AMD compete with, and how does it win? The Flat report calls AMD's moat narrow. Moat just means competitive advantage, the wall that keeps rivals from catching up. AMD's moat has 3 parts. First, in CPUs there is a structural duopoly with Intel. Only AMD and Intel hold what's called an x86 license, the legal right to make chips that run Windows and most server software. That's a club of 2. AMD's chiplet architecture, breaking a big chip into smaller pieces and stitching them together, combined with manufacturing at TSMC, has given AMD a real performance edge for several years. The threat here is a different chip family called ARM, used by Apple, Qualcomm, and Amazon's Graviton servers, which is slowly chipping away at x86. The second piece is the AI GPU moat, which is growing but unproven. AMD's main rival here is NVIDIA, the dominant AI chip maker. NVIDIA has a software platform called CUDA. Think of it as the programming language AI developers learned over the last 10+ years, and that creates strong lock-in. AMD's answer is called ROCm, its own software stack, and it's gaining traction, especially with OpenAI, Meta, and a new system called Helios that AMD co-designed. When a big customer like Meta builds its AI factory around AMD chips and writes years of code on ROCm, switching to NVIDIA later becomes painful and expensive. That's a switching cost. The third piece is the embedded and FPGA business AMD bought from Xilinx. FPGA stands for Field Programmable Gate Array, a chip you can reconfigure after it's made, useful when designs change often. These chips get designed into a product like a satellite or a factory robot and stay there for 5 to 10 years. That's about as sticky as silicon gets. What are the key drivers for the business over the past 5 years? Three big forces drove AMD's growth over the last 5 years. The first is the emergence of AI GPUs as a brand new revenue stream. AMD launched its first serious AI data center GPU, the Instinct MI300, in late 2023. AI GPU sales went from basically nothing to a $5 billion-plus annual run rate by the end of 2025. The follow-on chips, MI350 and the upcoming MI450, position AMD as the only serious alternative to NVIDIA in AI data centers. Marquee customers like OpenAI and Meta agreeing to deploy AMD at scale validates that the technology is real. The second driver is gradual share gains in server CPUs. EPYC went from low single-digit share to roughly 30%, plus of the server CPU market over 5 years. That was won the hard way, better performance per watt thanks to leadership manufacturing at TSMC. Server chips also carry higher profit margins than laptop chips, so each share point makes AMD more profitable, not just bigger. Layer on top of that the rise of agentic AI systems that take actions on their own, which actually needs more CPU horsepower running alongside the GPUs, not less. The third driver was the $49 billion Xilinx acquisition in 2022, which added about $3.5 billion of embedded revenue and locked in roughly $17 billion of annual design wins in industrial, aerospace, and automotive markets. As the integration costs from that deal wind down over the next few years, more of the embedded profit will flow through to AMD's bottom line. To wrap up, to sum it up in one sentence, AMD is a fabless chip designer that supplies the CPUs and GPUs powering data centers, AI training, PCs, gaming consoles, and embedded systems, going head-to-head with Intel in CPUs and NVIDIA in AI GPUs. If you want to follow the business as a learner, the things to keep an eye on are the MI400 series GPU launches and whether ROCm software keeps winning over big AI customers, the share trajectory of EPYC server CPUs, and how quickly the embedded business recovers as its big design win backlog converts into actual revenue. As always, this is educational only. Nothing here is a recommendation to buy or sell anything. Do your own homework, take your time, and learn the business before you ever think about the stock.